overcome stage fright when presenting. By the time this video is over, you're going to understand what you can do so that you look calm while you're presenting and have fun doing it. First, we're going to take a look at where your fear of public speaking actually comes from. Second, we're going to gain some tactics for overcoming those fears that are making you nervous. And then lastly, you're going to uncover how to make audiences love you no matter how unnerved you might feel. Let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I want to share with you is that yes, I'm a professional speaker, so this is what I do for a living, but I have to tell you that fear of public speaking is normal. So if you have a fear of speaking in front of a group of people, please know that you are normal. According to the University of Florida, anywhere between 72 and 75% of the population has a severe fear of public speaking. That number goes up dramatically if you already suffer from some form of anxiety. But I do want to point out something. There's a difference between having stage fright and having a certain amount of anxiety because you care. You may not know this, but some of the most popular entertainers and performers have stage fright. People like Rod Stewart, Barbara Streisand, and even Rihanna. Still to this day, they get nervous before they enter the stage. I'm a professional speaker that's connected to a lot of incredible other speakers, and you'd be amazed at how many of them actually have butterflies in their tummies, or some of them even extreme nausea, every time they prepare to go out on a stage. It's not that they have stage fright, but this nervousness is something that they channel to perform better. Beyonce is another person who has reported having the same issue. So understand that you can feel anxious because you care, and so you're channeling, you just want to do your best. That's actually some people's creative process. That's part of delivering a speech or some type of presentation. Or there are people that actually have stage fright that are just terrified to go out there from the beginning and have a lot of nervous thoughts. So I just want to draw that distinction because you may have anxiety because you care and you may not have stage fright, or you may just have stage fright. You want to ask yourself this question: where is your fear coming from around getting on that stage? Do you have a fear of judgment? Do you find yourself thinking, will they think that I look stupid? Or how do I physically look? Or will they judge me for this thing or that thing? Do you have a fear of judgment? Do you have performance anxiety, which is kind of what we alluded to earlier? That's something we can work with because oftentimes we can channel that nervous energy into the performance or into the delivery. But do you just generally have anxiety before performing any kind of important task? Do you have a negative self-image? Now, this is a hard one because if we don't see ourselves in a positive light, we're obviously going to be very insecure in putting ourselves in front of others. So I'll share a few things that I found interesting as a speaker. In the very beginning of my speaking career, quite a few people projected their insecurities on me. So one of the things I heard a few people that all happened to be African-American women saying, you need to straighten your hair so that you'll be more accepted. And these are women who had straightened their own hair. Now, this is how my hair grows out of my head. It's very, very curly, right? And so I just didn't have any hang-ups around that. And so I wasn't nervous presenting that to the world. I also had quite a few other women saying, oh, Crystal, you're short. You should wear high heels. Now, you can't tell from this video, but I'm the size of maybe an 11-year-old. I'm a very tiny woman, okay? I'm 5'1", maybe less, but we're going to go with 5'1", right? So with that having been said, I had so many women saying you need to wear heels or stilettos to look like you own the stage a little bit more. Well, friends, guess what? I'm clumsy. If I wore heels on stage, I wouldn't be standing on stage very long. I would be eating stage, right? So I wear flats. I've always worn flats. In fact, I wear sparkle sneakers, and I've done that for well over a decade. These women were projecting their issues on me. And there's all kinds of other things that came at me as well. But my point is this: if you have a negative self-image, you're going to feel very nervous going on stage presenting that to other people. And then you get caught up in, do I need to wear heels? Or do I need to do this with my hair? Or does my face need to look different? Or do I need to get a surgery? People get caught up in that place. I even see professionals doing this, right? And so that can be one of the things that's leading to your fear as well. Do you fear having a loss of control? Are you someone who's always in control of your environment and putting yourself in front of other people where they have the ability to judge you, or where you're dependent upon other people? Maybe it's scary because if you're giving a presentation, you might be depending on an AV department or a piece of technology, or maybe someone else is giving the presentation with you. And so you're depending on them to actually know their materials. That loss of control can be very hard for some people. Lastly, Social comparison is a huge one if you think that you might do better or worse than someone else. And then unfamiliarity. That typically means we don't really know our topic or the information we're presenting on that much. And so we feel nervous because a part of us knows we're not prepared. Any of these things we just named, or a combination of those, can be the reason why you have this stage fright. We want to make sure we're identifying your particular causes because it's going to make it a little bit easier for you to overcome them. So let's get started in thinking about how we can overcome our fears. The first piece of advice I have for you is to think about the audience, not yourself. Throw all of your attention in thinking about what is it they need to walk away from this feeling like it was a good use of their time. Who are they? What do they care about? What kind of humor would be something that they would appreciate? And it doesn't matter if we're talking about a professional presentation, if we're talking about a presentation at our faith-based institution, or if it's something where we're just giving a sales pitch. Whatever it is, understanding who we're talking to and focusing on how do I give them what they believe that they need? How do I present this in a way where they can digest it? That's going to take away some of that nervousness because now it's not directed at us. We're directing that attention towards the people that we're serving. The second thing, outside of making it about the audience, is make sure that you have your objective in mind. So the audience is first, your objective is second. There's a reason you're giving this presentation. There's information you're trying to convey. There might be something you're trying to get them to do or think about differently. Consider their perspective first and then get your objective through. I was recently hired to keynote for a group of intellectual property professionals in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And this event was particularly interesting because English was most of their second or third language. There were attendees mostly from Brazil, but other parts of Latin America as well. And so the objective was to show them how they could leverage generative AI. But remember how I said first you want to reflect them back at themselves. So I know that I have to teach them a few things about generative AI and connect it to their world of IP. But how could I make them feel seen as well? Otherwise, I would just feel nervous thinking, I don't speak Portuguese. I don't have all their same cultural references. I don't look like most of the people I'm speaking to. All of these things could have raced through my mind. But rather than allow myself time to go into that spiral, I focused on how I could serve them. So I hired a researcher who was an attorney, who had a specialty in intellectual property. She knew a lot about technology. She was from Brazil, but lived in the United States. So she could do a great job of helping me research or get the information I needed, but she could also translate through a cultural lens what something meant in Brazil to the mind of an American, so I would know how to communicate. Additionally, we surveyed over 70 Brazilians about different topics and their views about how they would see things around IP and generative AI. The result of all of this research, and also we looked into some of the actual attendees themselves and used them as positive examples in the presentation. So the result of all of this is in the presentation itself, yes, I taught them about generative AI and its connection to IP, which was the objective. That's what the client wanted. But they were able to digest it, and I felt good about it because with every turn, they saw that I'm actually quoting Brazilian laws, and they were like, how could she possibly know this? They're seeing pictures of them on the screen. They're seeing feedback from their own citizens in ways that they wouldn't have thought that they would have voted or opinions they wouldn't have thought they had. So in other words, my attention went into making the audience feel seen, making it about them. My objective was second, so I didn't have time to be nervous. I was too busy serving them. So my suggestion is when you serve first, you're less likely to feel nervous because it's not about you. You probably know someone who's also nervous about speaking in front of groups of people. If so, take a second and share this video with them. We want to empower everyone to feel more comfortable speaking from the stage, delivering sales pitches, or whatever it is they need to communicate in front of a group of people. Go ahead, take a second to share. So let's talk about some tactics that you can use to diffuse that nervousness. Number one is visualization. Practice giving your speech or your talk or doing your presentation or your pitch. Now, you might practice in front of live people. You may practice in front of stuffed animals. You might practice in front of actual animals. My suggestion is, contrary to what you're going to see others say, is not to practice in a mirror. Because when you're practicing in a mirror, you're going to make it about yourself. You're going to look at yourself and you're going to break everything apart. Unless you are a full-time professional speaker, I would not suggest that. Just deliver in front of a group and then picture yourself in front of the actual group you're going to be speaking to. So again, I think it's a good idea to start off by yourself without anyone else listening and just kind of get comfortable. You don't have to record yourself at first. Just get comfortable visualizing how it's going to go. Next, use positive affirmations. Tell yourself every day, this is going to be an incredible presentation. They're going to walk away with XYZ, or the client's going to agree to sign by this date. Just keep telling yourself something positive about this presentation. It's going to be great. I'm going to connect with them. They're going to see their needs met. They're going to see how much we've researched them. They're going to recognize that we're the perfect partner. Positive affirmations. Practice breathing techniques. So if you find yourself getting nervous before it's time for you to present, just practice breathing. 3 seconds in through the nose, hold it for a second or two, 3 seconds out through the mouth, and just repeat it over and over again. Get yourself into a nice, calm place before you have to present. And then lastly, you may even want to think about joining a group like Toastmasters or some other type of group where you can practice your delivery. Again, Toastmasters is a wonderful organization for that. And then lastly, I want you to create a before and after talk routine. So before the talks that you give, maybe you meditate, maybe you do some deep breathing, maybe you play a certain type of music. I don't know what that is. But then we even want to have some type of routine after we talk. So maybe we give a speech, or maybe we pitch something to a client or a group. Yes, we interact with them afterwards, but once we get away from people, what do we do to relax? Do we need to do some more deep breathing? Do we listen to some soft jazz or whatever works for you? Do you reward yourself with an ice cream cone? I don't know what this looks like. Or maybe you're like me and you just take a really long nap. I usually need to sleep after I speak to groups of people. But whatever that is, develop a routine that supports you before and after you give a talk. So I hope this information was interesting to you and helpful. Again, as someone who's a futurist who travels around the world talking about the future and how we can better plan for the future, making sure that you can show up and not be nervous is a huge piece of what I do. But additionally, I have another gift for you. If you look into the description of this video, you're going to see a link to download a Future Ready Playbook. This is a playbook that I designed especially for you to help you be more strategic in planning the future. It's chock full of activities and worksheets that'll help you be more strategic in planning the future of your career, if you're a business owner of your business, and even if you have personal goals, tackling those as well. So go ahead and download it today.